What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gershwan.
And today we're going to be answering your questions with our answers in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And we're going to try to be as smooth talking as possible.
Suave smooth.
This question comes... I already ruined it. This question comes from Ursa Swan. What's the most questionable thing in the lore about the Imperium? That's a good question.
Yeah.
And the Sound Alchemist had to explain it to me because I'm feeling a certain type of way. What do you think is the most like?
Well, the Imperium has been going on for a long time, and there's been a lot of questionable things that have been done. But I think for me, the one that takes the cake, I like that saying, the one that takes the cake is definitely having the Adeptus Custodes stay on Terra. I mean, yeah, I get it. They're protecting the Emperor, but I mean, you can leave a few there and have the rest spread out into the galaxy because they are really, really strong. They were handcrafted by the Emperor himself. They are probably a whole like platoon worth of Space Marines. That's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, they are really good at what they do. So their help, their combat abilities, and not just that, but like their presence, their charisma, their intelligence can really help throughout the galaxy. So why they're just stuck there and for that amount of period of like long time, it doesn't make sense to me. It's very questionable.
Yeah, for me, I don't really understand why the Emperor made it so that this. Well, I don't understand why Space Marines aren't kinder to humanity and they're more hands-on to humanity. The way that they explained it in the lore is that the Emperor wanted humanity to govern itself, so he specifically told the Primarchs and the Space Marines not to interfere as much with the governance of the Imperium. Governance. But the weird thing is, like, during the Age of Apostasy, when basically the Ministorum was like in control of everything and they started worshiping the god as or the Emperor as a god, all Space Marine chapters, there's only like maybe the Black Templars and a couple other ones that worshipped him as a god, but they all knew that that's not true. Like, they knew that the Emperor didn't want that. He even sent the Space Wolves to like destroy the Word Bearers, what is it, the home planet or whatever, the city. So the fact that they're just like, let them believe what they want to believe, that doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like Space Marine chapters should have stepped up and been like, hey, remember the Emperor said not to do this?
And they're just like, oh, just keep going with it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things too. Like, I just thought about like 2 or 3 other ones as you were talking. Like, why kill off the Thunder Warriors? They could have been used as a great force.
Or some type of force. Like, instead of using Mortarion's boys, what are they called? The Death Guard? They could have used Thunder Warriors. Those were to like... Because that's what they basically were, right?
Yeah.
The Dusk Raiders were just like tough dudes. But yeah.
Oh, well. What about you guys? What do you think was the most questionable thing the Imperium ever did? And don't say, allow abhumans.
Yeah. Next. Oh.
This one's by Timothy Armstrong. He says that he wants to start a fan lore chapter of Salamander Space Marines, calling them the Elder Dragons. How do I go about doing this? Spotlight on you, Gershwan.
Shit, what was the question?
How does he create a fan chapter?
Oh, check out our 40 facts on how to... No, it's not a 40 facts video. Just check out our video on how to create a fan chapter. I posted it on Monday of this week. But yeah, there's a process. It can be broken down pretty quickly. So I'll do it right now. So you want to pick... Nah, just watch the video.
Yeah, it's a very good video because I've been working on my Celestial Sons for a long time now, and after watching his video, I'm like, oh shoot, like I could have just asked this guy.
Yeah. But the cool thing about Space Marine lore and creating a fan or a homebrew chapter is the fact that you're not as constrained as you think.
Right.
There's so many things that have already happened in the Imperium with certain chapters that you can pretty much get away with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even having your Space Marine chapter be females. See, everybody gets all shook. But it's true. Like the Lost Primarchs, there's very little information written on them. And specifically creating them as a female faction. And even it would be cool to use the Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle Codex instead of the Space Marine Codex, but just call them Space Marines. That'd be kind of cool. Even though, what's the toughness of?
I think it's 3, so you have to like bump that up to a 4. Raise the point values.
That's too much work. Never mind.
But yeah, if you want to have a little bit more, I guess examples, we do have a playlist for
homebrews.
Yeah, homebrew Space Marine chapters. There's some really crazy ones in there too. Some really awesome ones.
Top of the line, cute face, thin waist.
Big behind.
Next question comes from Mr. Lovett. If I was an Imperial citizen and I always referred to the Emperor as the Big E, would I get in trouble? It depends on the planet that you live in. So the cool thing about the Imperial planets is that they're very diverse. If you come from a standard hive world, you're really oppressed, but you're also not like the High Lords, or like the highest order, or the highest what would you call it, like police force, doesn't really care about the average citizen, because the average citizen is just a worker or a soldier, so you can do whatever you want. But then if you get to like a pleasure world where you're dealing with like,
or a cardinal world,
when you're dealing with like really high up people, obviously you have to show the utmost respect to the Big E.
Mm-hmm. It also depends on what hemisphere you're on, because sometimes if you're in the wrong hemisphere, you can't say Biggie. You got to refer to him as Tupac.
Sure. I thought you were going with like the Eminem. Australians call Eminem Eminem. Save the koalas. Wait, is it the koalas or is it that other thing?
The other thing. Wombats?
What's the difference between a wombat and a koala?
Poxitani Phil. I didn't know that the whole like the groundhog sees a shadow thing happens like here in Illinois.
I thought that was like in one of the 13, one of the original 13 colonies.
Really? Or maybe I'm thinking of Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray and all that. Oh.
That's a good movie.
I think I'm groundhogging right now.
Whoa, I don't know what that means. Urban Dictionary.
PB Unit has asked, what nutrients do orc spores need to grow? Can they grow everywhere?
Yeah, they can grow everywhere. They don't really need much. They can lay in stasis, like in the void, and then once they get to a planet, they just start, cracking open. But the thing is that they have found orcs on asteroids with no atmosphere, so it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't the orc just start growing in the void?
Yeah, that's true. Because then you just have like algae, just a lump of like orcs in space.
Yeah. But very little, if anything. Next question comes from Tin Man 4000. Tin Man back again with another question. Is this the Tin Man that we were talking about, Rick's friend?
I don't know. It might be.
Okay. What happens if Sisters of Battle or the Commissars gain the power of the warp because of psychic abilities? Then they use them.
Yeah, because whenever you get a psychic power, most often it's like a gift from the Emperor, you would assume. It depends on the world, too, because then they might think you're a heretic.
Right, and it also depends on like where you are. If you are a commissar that has been doing his thing for a really long time, and then all of a sudden you develop these psychic abilities, if your people don't like you, then they could easily just call you out and be like, hey, he's, that's kind of weird that an adult would develop psychic abilities now. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else, another commissar kills you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's proceed.
Whoa, what did you just say? This one's by The Seeker. Which army is factually the weakest and worst to play on the tabletop? Whatever army I'm playing.
No, I would say the Grey Knights.
Yeah, it is not their edition, this edition, because this 8th edition is all about quantity over quality, which the Grey Knights are the opposite.
Maybe, yeah.
They're a very elite force. I mean, yeah, it depends on army composition you have, but I would say probably the Grey Knights.
Or maybe Harlequins too.
Yeah, because Harlequins, you barely ever see any Harlequin armies out there.
Yeah. I think the fact that they dumbed down psychic abilities is really hurting all the psychic controlled people, which is something we talked about.
I really wanted the Psychic Awakening to be the resurgence of all these psychic disciplines from 7th edition that are gone.
And it's not. It's really just strengthening that one Primaris librarian, dude.
Yeah, it's like if you're Primaris, if you're Space Marines, perfect.
Yeah. Anything else? You're just buying a book.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next question comes from... Well, this one is cool because it's hashtagged.
Ooh.
The Lucky Dragon. No, we already read that one, huh? Right?
I think so.
I'm trying to create a Space Marine chapter, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, damn. Next question.
Oh, no, this one's different. Because the other one was about salamanders.
Oh, okay. So he's saying, I'm trying to create a... This is by the Lucky Dragon. I'm trying to create a Space Marine chapter so this question can warp touch Space Marine chapter... Or the question is, can warp touch Space Marine chapters still be part of the Imperium of Man? Yeah. Warp touch just means that you have psychic abilities. And there are entire chapters dedicated to psychic abilities. The Exorcists, I think, is one of them. The Silver Knights? No, that's something else. The Steel Confessors, I think, is another one.
That's a badass name.
Yeah. So, yeah, you could do that.
Like we said earlier, like you could really mold the lore to make pretty much anything work.
Yep.
Oh, this one's by Troy Bolster. It's not really a question, but we'll make it into one. He's asking, if the Flesh and Blood Emperor comes back, will shit hit the fan because religion equals bad? No, because the Emperor doesn't preach. Well, okay, I think I know what you're saying. Since the Emperor comes back, his whole thing was science, truth, technology, logic over religion. And currently the Imperium is heavily very religious. Yeah, I'm assuming so. Shit will hit the fan.
Yeah, but also I believe that the Emperor, because he's conscious, I mean, he still understands not only what's going on around him, like his physical body, but he is emanating his presence in the warp, so he obviously knows what's going down in other places of the galaxy. Think of him as like Wi-Fi. He touches everything. Or maybe a priest. Yeah, I think that when he comes back, he's going to realize, oh, it turns out that maybe we shouldn't push away this whole worshipping thing because I'm getting stronger because of it. Kind of like he did with warp powers to begin with. During the Council of Nicaea, he was like, nobody can use warp powers. And then later on, he realized, oh shit, we need to use warp powers. Quick, build the Grey Knights. And yeah. So I think that's the same thing is going to happen. He's going to be resurrected, and he's like, I was telling you guys to ignore religion, but turns out that's the reason I'm here now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look at all the saints and everything that they've been doing to benefit humanity. So
the Legion of the Damned. They damned.
Los Bukis.
And then this is going to be the last question by Rune Chaos 1.01. Why do Chaos Space Marines not get to use assault cannons on tanks or dreadnoughts? Were they rediscovered after the heresy?
Yeah, to me, it's very strange why a lot of things that the Space Marines get, Chaos does not. I mean, I understand they went Chaos during, well, a majority of them turned to Chaos during the heresy, which was back in 30K. So after like 10,000 years, as we're current in time, yeah, certain warbands might have not have heard that, oh, you have assault cannons on dreadnoughts, let's do it too. But I feel like they should have what the Space Marines should already have.
Yeah, in the lore it doesn't make any sense, but when you actually look at the tabletop, I think the reason Games Workshop does that is because they want to make sure that there's a difference between the two factions.
Right.
Otherwise, the only reason you're going to play Chaos Space Marines as opposed to Space Marines is just because you want to be good or bad, and then you'll have like the scales tipped. But if the Chaos Space Marine army list or codex gives you a certain way of playing a Space Marine that's different than a regular Loyalist codex, then obviously one person is going to want to collect both armies, whereas before one person would only collect one of the armies.
And then just flavor it. Oh, these are Chaos Space Marines today.
Yeah, so money.
And
Dollar bills.
yeah, at the same time too, I think they might be different because you get certain boons and bonuses with Chaos that Space Marines don't. So they're throwing Space Marines, regular Space Marines, a bone by saying, "Oh, your Dreadnought's gonna have this." Where on the other side, it's like this Dreadnought doesn't have this, but he can be allied to Nurgle, Zeech, Khorne, whatever, and get those bonuses.
Yes. Those were the questions for today. If you have questions for us again, that's a weird way of saying that. Comment down in the comment section below.
And this was not very suave smooth, but it was a disgruntled yelp. This has been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
Ah!
Oh, if you could put my